if we start to clap, then that means you're done.
That works. That's happened many times in my life. All right. This is from my latest novel, Mind Over All. It's the final in the Mind Over trilogy. Main character is Daryl Steffens, a psychic whose abilities had driven him insane. In the first 2 books, he learns to master his abilities. He escapes his asylum and ends up on another planet where he marries a woman who has the ability to pull power from her planet and fling it at the neighboring world, which is on a collision course. And this time, if she were to be successful, she'd end up destroying the world. So she's just released what's called the Screa storm. That is the planet that, or the force that will be knocking out the other planet. And Daryl has gone to this other world and is trying to stop it. Okay. The ground trembled, the warning of a tremor. Daryl felt as much as heard the screams of people fleeing the colony below him. He threw up shields against them. Their pain could not help him. He needed to focus. 6 minutes. It's not a gravity pulse. The scientific knowledge Daryl had absorbed on Earth told him. Otherwise, the effect would have been instantaneous. It's a force, a targeted force. Force can be absorbed, deflected, dispersed. I'll make this right, Daryl told Elugiac. Get out of here. Despite being on his knees and wheezing, Elugiac argued. What? What can you do? The ground shook, nearly knocking Daryl off his feet. With instincts acquired from his bond with Tasme, he reached into Baron and drew upon the energy of the earthquake. Rather than sending it elsewhere, however, he pulled it into himself. His muscles shivered, a strangely pleasant sensation. The ground below him stilled. He stifled a laugh Elugiac wouldn't understand. The air scratched his throat and stung his sinuses. His next breath came out as a wheeze, and his eyes watered. You can't help me, Elugiac, and you can't help them if you die. Trust me and get out of here. Go! When he had left, Daryl pulled off his shirt, wiped his eyes with it, and tied it around his face, covering his mouth and nose. It didn't help much, but enough that he could concentrate. 5 minutes. Dispersing was not an option. He didn't even know how he'd do that. How long had it taken Tasme to absorb the energy that she had just sent on a collision course? He already felt a little shaky, just from what he'd pulled, was still pulling, he realized, from Baron. 4 minutes. Deflect it is. And Baron, if you want to survive, you're helping me. Daryl called upon Tasme's memories and his own experience with Canaan and opened his mind to Baron. Where Canaan, and that's the other planet, had been a furious tyranny, Baron was a panicked anarchy. Ironically, Daryl's confidence rose. How many years had he dealt with the anarchy of the thoughts of people, both sane and crazy, impressing upon his mind? The unorganized sensations of a planet struggling not to be torn apart? Walk in the park. Daryl braced his feet, splayed his hands palm downward, and sucked up the energy from Baron. When Daryl had first been learning to control his abilities, particularly to deal with the legion of impressions coming at him from the others around him, Joshua had taught him to shield himself from the mental and emotional aspects. Over the past year, he taught himself to filter out those aspects. It was energy, all energy, pure and neutral. Now he applied those same skills to Baron, stripping away the pain of the turmoil, taking the energy into himself, storing it, letting it build. The tremors under his feet stilled. The waves crashing against the rocks calmed. The wind that drove the poisonous air against his makeshift mask quieted. In response, Daryl's breathing accelerated. His blood raced, his stomach churned. Adrenaline coursed through him, making him shake. He ignored it, pulling further on Baron, reaching into the ground, through the air, into the ley lines that arched weakly overhead. A detached part of his mind worked physics problems of angles and forces. Baron needed shields, and he was just the man to do it. The key to his sanity lay in creating shields, barriers against the unwanted thoughts and emotions, clumsily erected until Joshua, in his neurolinguistic programming style of psychology, had taken him at his word that he was truly psychic, and had helped him create stronger, more clever shields. He'd further honed his skills on Canaan, training Salgood in anticipation of a Baron attack, manipulating energy to protect himself, then Tasme, gradually expanding. He could do this. It was just a matter of size and energy. 2 minutes to atmosphere. Daryl's muscles strained as he lifted his hands over his head, palms still flat, but now toward the sky. His hasty calculations complete enough, he released his power to meet the mysterious storm. Force surged through him with gale force. His stomach jolted, and he had the wild sensation of being flung hard, as if he would have ridden the forces under his command off the planet and beyond the atmosphere to meet Tasme's storm head-on, were he not rooted to the ground. Had the ground of Barren formed around his feet to hold him in place? He felt stretched. His hair threatened to pull itself from his roots. Even his teeth felt the pressure, the top ones wanting to drill themselves into his jaw, while the bottoms wanted to pull free. A scream tore from his throat. He forced his mind to concentrate on the shields, energy gathering, fanning outward above Barren's atmosphere, ready to meet the mysterious storm. Impact.
This is from my memoir that I wrote called Growing Up in Roosevelt, Utah, a long, long time ago. And I am in the second grade at this point, and my father is the principal of the only elementary school in Roosevelt, Utah. This is a little chapter called Blackie. After a snowy winter, we kids were tired of staying in at recess. So in March, on the first good day, we sprang from the building and raced to the playground, pumping each other on swings and bailing out when the teachers weren't looking. Girls jumped rope, played hopscotch, and knelt on the damp ground for jacks. Some boys climbed trees, knowing they would get in trouble if caught. Caged animals, free at last. Life got even better when a little Cocker Spaniel appeared on the playground, the cutest dog I'd ever seen, completely black with curly hair like mine. He had sad, dark eyes, but a friendly face. As he bounced on short legs, each step was accompanied with a small woof. Back and forth he wiggled his tiny rump, propelled by a curly tail beating in strict rhythm like Arthur Fiedler conducting the Boston Pops Orchestra in Stars and Stripes Forever. We made friends, and I called him Blackie. Within a day or two, he came when I called his name. He knew when it was time for recess or lunch. I raced out of school as the bell rang, trying to be the first one on the playground, and there he was, waiting for me under the shade tree over by the swings. As he saw me coming, he ran around in circles, wagging his curly tail. I held him as he licked my face, his way of kissing me, and I kissed him back. At lunch, I wolfed down the hot food and kept my bread and butter for Blackie, who gobbled it right up. Soon kids gathered around thinking it was my dog. One girl said to her friend, "Diane's dad is the principal. He owns this school, and Blackie is her dog." I didn't correct them, only doled out permission when they asked, "Can I pet your dog?" Within a week, we were so close, Blackie cried when I went back into class. On Monday morning, I went to Daddy's office and told him about Blackie, how I wanted him for my own. "We already have Bubbles, Diane. 2 dogs are too many." "But Daddy, Blackie will belong just to me. I'll take care of him and he won't be a bother to anyone." "Is he wearing a collar?" "No, but Daddy, I'll buy him one with money I've saved from allowances, and I'll do extra jobs to pay for his food. Please let me have him." It did no good. I couldn't take him home. That evening, Daddy saw me, and it must have reminded him of Blackie, because I heard him pick up our telephone and call Dave Robb, who was Roosevelt's only law enforcer. Behind Dave's back, people poked fun of the way he swaggered around town full of himself, like Barney Fife did later on the Andy Griffith Show. He always bragged about keeping the Indians, the town's Indians in place. "They ain't putting nothing over on me, I just give 'em this here billy club," he said, patting it nervously. For lunch the next day, we had chili, buttered corn, and a big chocolate chip cookie. I gulped down the chili, left the corn, wrapped my cookie in my napkin, and raced from the lunchroom to meet Blackie by our tree. Kids came and watched him eat my cookie, which he gobbled down before licking the pavement for crumbs. We were laughing and playing with him when suddenly a cop car with a siren going full blast came squealing up to the curb. Out leapt Dave Robb with pistol in hand. "Stand back! Everybody stand back!" he shouted. We kids hurriedly retreated a couple of feet. A second later, Dave Robb cocked his pistol and fired a shot into Blackie's little head. He yelped and fell silent as blood pooled around him. Then Dave Robb picked up his tiny body, tossed it on the floorboard of the car, and drove away, leaving the dark puddle. I don't remember anything more about that day until evening when Daddy came home. He told Mama that since he couldn't have a dog running loose on the playground, he called the Roosevelt policeman to come and get it. Then he told what happened according to the teacher on playground duty. Daddy telephoned the city and chewed Dave Robb out, but he was unrepentant. Proud of his behavior, in fact. That's what he did with stray dogs in town. He knew how to take care of them, and if Daddy didn't like it, he shouldn't call him. Were you there, Diane? Was I there? Blackie got killed because of me, I thought. If I hadn't told you about him, you wouldn't have called Dave Robb. No, I lied. I wasn't there. Good, I'm glad you didn't see it. I guess that idiot cop left a real mess on the playground.